Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome aboard once again for another Sunset Safari. We are coming to you live from Kenya, and we're in the Mara Triangle to be specific, and you are watching Safari Live. This is a rhino walking through the grasslands at real time, and my name is Ralph Kirsten. On the camera we have Archie. How's it, Archie, my trusty wingman? Now please don't forget to join us on the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat. Send us your questions and your comments and get involved in the largest game drive in the world. Now this is very exciting that we're out here in the heat of the day. It is about 27 degrees Celsius, 82 degrees Fahrenheit, so nice and warm, not too hot however, and as you can see, the rhino obviously just trying to cool off a little bit. He's been wallowing in the mud, and now that's very exciting to start off with the black rhino. The Maasai people do say that there's three animals in specific, that if you see a lion, if you see a black rhino, or if you see a cheetah, you are very lucky and you're going to have a good day. So with us starting with the black rhino, well, I'm very excited because we're going to have an excellent day according to the Maasai people. Now that's not the only exciting thing that I want to talk about, because I do want you to remember that in the next couple of days, starting tomorrow, after the very big game that is coming on, and I'm sure everybody's getting excited about that, for the next 4 days, from the 4th to the 8th of February, Safari Live will be coming to you on prime time television on Nat Geo Wild. So really, it's going to be absolutely amazing. And for all the long-time viewers, we're bringing Safari Bingo back in the US. So all those viewers there, please get involved and go to natgeo.com/Safari Live to find out how to play. Now, let's get back to business of the day, which is with our first of the big five, this beautiful black rhino. I wasn't able to see if it was a male or a female. I'm still trying to work it out, but it is a very sizable animal. And this is the Diceros bicornis, the larger of the black rhino. You also find them in Namibia, up the west coast. The smaller cousin that we get in KwaZulu-Natal of South Africa, that is the Diceros bicornis minor. So it's pretty much the same looking as this black rhino here, but it's just a little bit smaller. And these animals have got a real reputation for having a short temper, but I do think that they are really misunderstood. However, when you are on foot and in a vehicle, you do need to just be a little bit careful of them, because they're very short-sighted, and if they see you at close range, they can sometimes just charge. And so, everyone, I think I'm going to stay here just a little bit longer and see if this black rhino decides to maybe come our way. But while we do that and see what he does, let's head you on over the Mara River all the way over to Brent and see what his plan is for the day. Thanks, Brent. And yes, everybody, well, I'm sure you can see the difference where Brent is over on the other side of the river. The grass is normally a lot shorter there. It's been quite well grazed, and also because of the type of soil that they have there, it does stunt the growth of the grasses a little bit. But here in the Mara Triangle, well, we've got really long grass, and as you can see with this black rhino, it makes him look quite small when he's standing in there. But I can tell you he isn't. It's just actually an indication of the height of the grass at the moment. But all still very good grazing. This is predominantly the red oat grass, or Tomida triandra, that we also find down in South Africa, and also a very good indicator of a the succession stage of the soil is at the utmost best. So with it dominating most of the Mara Triangle, you can really say that the vegetation here is really in a good state. Now, this is unusual for a black rhino to be wandering around in the middle of the day because generally speaking they are nocturnal, and you can see the heat haze coming off the grass there, that it is really hot at the moment. And black rhino normally just relaxing up in the thickets at this time of day, normally, as I say, but animals don't listen to our rules. So normally being nocturnal, and all the literature that you will find about black rhino says as such, but this one moving around during the day, been wallowing in the mud, and he also has been marking a little bit and dropping some of the dung and spraying. That was just now, so I'm now convinced that it is a male, but still quite lethargic, as you would imagine, with the heat, but he's active nonetheless. And look at those real funnel-like ears, trying to pick up any sound, because that does help them with their ears being very good and sensitive. That makes up a little bit for their lack of eyesight, being very short-sighted, as well as their sense of smell. Those are the two senses that they rely on the most, and that's why very often they are misunderstood when they hear or smell things at close quarters. And they very often use the best form of defense, and that's attack, to get rid of any threat, and they normally run in, bash whatever is around, and off they disappear as quickly as they came. And I've been present in the KwaZulu-Natal province of South Africa with some researchers that were really testing this theory of their short-sightedness. And one day we went out and we had spotted a black rhino that they knew very well, and it was at about 100 meters away. And we walked up till about 50 meters, and we took a white hat and we put it on a piece of grass, but waved it around first to make sure that the black rhino did get a bit of interest. It saw the movement, and then we placed this very contrasting white color on top of a bush, and then retreated back into the bushes and hid and watched. And this black rhino, he had focused on that little moving piece of material. So what he did was he came for that white thing that we had put on the bush, and he came all the way in, very curious, right up to that hat. And we were sitting literally 10 meters away, absolutely quiet, absolutely still, and we watched him walk all the way up and almost horn the hat that was on top of the bush, because he saw that movement and he saw the contrast, and then after a little while turned around and walked away. But he didn't even notice that we were there. We had the wind in our favor, and it just really indicated how bad their eyesight is. They do need to hear and smell more than anything else. So it's fantastic to see that. He did hear us when we moved in, but he wasn't sure of what we were. So he did then start to move away a little bit. But now you can see still facing towards us, trying to pick up a smell, trying to pick up a sound, but he really doesn't know what we are. He's just seen the movement and possibly now also heard us. But the wind is in our favor. It's blowing in our faces. And so I don't think that he knows exactly what we are, but he just saw the movement, which is fascinating to watch their specific behavior of the black rhino. And they're also on the endangered list. Now, Aaron, you want to know if there's any bushes or grasses that the black rhino would avoid in specific. Aaron, I'm not quite sure. I don't know of things that they avoid. However, I do know that black rhino, they can actually eat a lot of plants that are toxic to other animals, like the euphorbia, which is a cactus-like plant that we have in Africa. There's no real cactus that we do have here. It's been imported from South America, but they feed on this toxic plants that most animals and humans alike would get poisoned, and they actually quite enjoy it. And in Namibia, there's Euphorbia damarana, which has a lot of latex, which literally pours out of it when the branches are broken. And the black rhino really enjoy it. And so we call it the rhino ice cream, because after they've fed on it, they've got all this white fluid that is all around their chin and on their chops. So it really looks like they've been feeding on ice cream or on a milkshake, and it's spilt all over their mouth. So that's why we call it rhino ice cream. But I don't know of any plants that they specifically avoid. As I say, they're actually got quite a good constitution in being able to eat rather poisonous plants. Along with the porcupine, they're also able to eat quite toxic plants, very similar to that of the black rhino. And black rhino, when you do look in their dung, like you might have seen quite a lot of indication of this in the white rhino versus elephant. I know a lot of the guides often show that, but we don't often get to show you black rhino dung. And if I see some, I would love to show you it, because it's all these lovely little clippings of grass and branches, and they're all cut at a perfect 45-degree angle. And it's the way that their teeth are aligned, and they open their mouth and they clip off these little pieces, and they're more or less an inch long, all of them, inside the dung, and all having that 45-degree angle that really indicates that it's black rhino versus elephant or white rhino. Now, black rhino will also make use of middens or a common latrine site where they'll go and defecate on the same place, and then normally also brush up against the bush, and they use their front and their back legs to mark the ground as well. And as they defecate and urinate and spray all over the little bush and back up into it and give it quite a hard time, they're also then marking their feet as they go. So then from there, as they walk around their territory, they're not only marking on that spot in the latrine site, they're actually dragging their scent all around where they go on their loop. And black rhino's territory is relatively small compared to that of a white rhino, so they'll defend that quite vigorously, and they don't have as much of a big range as the white rhino as well. So the black rhino, pretty much the same home range as their territory. It might be slightly bigger than that, but the white rhino has a much larger home range in comparison to its territory. Now, I've explained this before, but for any new-time viewers or anybody that's forgotten about it since I spoke about it last, when we talk about white rhino, black rhino, and their territories, it's important to think, I often chat about this with students as well. Your territory versus your home range. Now, the same like what we've got here at the Angama camp. We've got all our tents where everybody sleeps in, but then we've got the bigger area where we've got the FC, and we've got the dining room, and we've got the kitchen. Now, everybody moves around this whole camp with no problem, for anybody else moving there too. So that's your home range. The only problem comes about where it's around the food. People do defend their food, even if it's around inside the home range. Some people more than others. But so in your home range, you might get a little bit edgy around food, but other than that, it doesn't matter where people move. But if somebody comes into your tent, you're going to have a problem, because that person needs to say, can I come into your tent from a distance? You say, yes, you may, or you may not, and I'll meet you outside. But that's your real territory. Your tent is your territory, and the home range being that of the camp. Now, it's exactly the same with black rhino and white rhino. They move around in a specific area, but they won't defend that entire area. They'll choose a smaller area, which is then their territory, and that they will defend with their lives. But as I say, the white rhino, much bigger home range, smaller territory. Black rhino, their territory is pretty much that of their home range. They might move out a little bit more than that, but not too much. And territories often overlap around water and food sites, and that's where there can be a little bit of conflict. But generally, it's well marked and well defended, and the animals stay in their different territories. Right, that black rhino has now disappeared off into the grass. It just seems like a bit of a muddy termite mound, or wet termite mound that's actually moving through the grass. So I think we'll leave him now, and we'll start to make our way down to some elephants. But while that is all exciting and we've spotted this beautiful black rhino, it seems that Brent on the other side of the river has spotted something magnificent as well, and there's a few of them, so let's send you on over to him.